Hey, it's Dean Lewis. I just did an interview on the Zach Zang Show. We talked about my album, my new song, How Do I Say Goodbye, life and success and failure.
Hello, beautiful human. Thanks for clicking on our conversation with Dean Lewis. Today's interview is being delivered to you by GoPuff. My life is complete with GoPuff. Literally everything I get from GoPuff. GoPuff. From candles to toothpaste and toothbrushes to Celsius energy drinks to every sip of water I ever consume. It's all coming to me courtesy of GoPuff. GoPuff is the convenience store, friend. Try them out. It could be the end of every other app you use. Thousands of products in the palm of your hand. Again, booze, snacks, electronics, household items. It's all in one place on GoPuff. If you want to try out GoPuff, there's a link in the description below, or just download it from the App Store. Use my code ZAC10, and you'll save $10 off your first 2 orders. That is ZAC10. That'll save you $10 off your first 2 orders. I mean, you're going to order stuff from somewhere anyway. Why not use GoPuff? Okay? I'm just trying to save you money and provide quality conversation for you. So here's our conversation with Dean Lewis, delivered to you by GoPuff. Hello, beautiful human. I am Zach. That is Dan, and we welcome to the studio for the first time ever, Dean Lewis.
Hey, thanks for having me in, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I like Australians, man. For the most part, you're really great people.
Yeah, we are very down to earth, I think.
I agree with that. Incredibly honest.
Yeah, very straightforward. Yeah, definitely.
Do you, just out of curiosity, now that I start to get to know Australian people, I get to know Kiwis, what is the biggest difference between a Kiwi and an Australian, even though you have the freedom to go between both countries?
Well, my manager's a Kiwi.
Okay.
And so the difference is that we say six and they say sucks. And we say fish and chips and they say fish and chops. And New Zealand is like, it's kind of like America and Canada. They're like, Canada's like the small brother, you know what I mean? And New Zealand's like the small, it's like cousin of Australia. So they always have this kind of like, we're better than Australia kind of thing. And they make really good films. They make really like New Zealand like movies, like really good,
beautiful,
really good movies. And
also,
like
the landscape.
The landscape's
is
nuts.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Personality difference? Can we like judge them as a group?
I reckon we're pretty similar, to be honest.
Honestly,
I reckon
really?
we're pretty similar. Yeah, it's just the accent thing, I'd say. Like if I met a Kiwi, I would just be like, oh, like it's almost like another Australian. That's kind of how I feel about it. Might be controversial to say, but like, I feel like the difference between Canadians and Americans is that you guys have like a big thing. We're not as like intense, I don't think.
Well, yeah, there's no rivalry between America and Canada at all, but it is 2 very separate ways of life.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's very interesting. Like, even when you look at like a territory, they'll usually do, AU and Z. Like, Australia and New Zealand is always kind of coupled together.
Yeah. I think, I think the touring, so when you do a tour, like,
you do all of it.
You do it all, because it's like, coming to Australia is very expensive, I think, for American bands, because there's not, I think in Australia there's like six shows. They'll do like 6 cities, whereas like you can do like 6 cities in a state in America, you know what I mean? Or in Europe you can just go, you know, place to place. So they group them all together. They kind of, if you come to Australia, you kind of do it all. If you're a touring musician,
you have to do both.
You have to do both. Yeah.
So you kind of live in Nashville, but how often are you going back home?
I go back home. Like I'm going back, I do an Australian tour that starts in 7 days. So, but I haven't been back for like probably a year. I kind of go back every, like a month for every year, I'd say.
So do you keep in touch with family? I mean, your most recent records are very connected to the reality that you faced with your family. Yeah,
so my brother's on the road. He's out there he's the guy with the camera outside. That's my brother. He kind of comes on the road with me, and I'm very close to mum and dad and like my other brothers and stuff like that. But I'm just like, you know, it's happening. Things are happening, and like I know I wrote the new song about my dad, but we're very close. But you know, I'm living his dream because he taught me how to play guitar and everything, and sort of like, you know, being out here writing songs and having a song that was big in America is like, it's so cool, man. This never happens, and I never thought I'd be doing this stuff. Like this is so rare coming from Australia. So we're very close, and he encourages it all.
Do you? I mean, you have to feel like you couldn't do this without your dad, because obviously he taught you what you know.
Literally, like he. I mean, every Saturday he'd have like, you know, music playing, and he taught me the chords on guitar, you know, showed me a love of music, and like basically taught me how to, not really write songs, but the building blocks to how to get it all started. So, yeah.
Is there like a weight to the responsibility you carry to maybe succeed on behalf of your dad?
I don't think he puts that pressure on me. Like when I said to him that I was going to be like a musician, he was like, oh, give this a crack. He was like, make sure you get like a uni degree, and like, don't because he didn't want me to like be a massive like failure. Because I think when you do music, you don't realize it's like 1 in a million that you're going to have success. Like it's crazy. Now with TikTok, I feel like maybe this is like 6 years ago. I feel like with TikTok, it's like you have a higher percentage of now building something.
Oh, I mean,
you know?
Yeah, because you have access to a portal that gets you to ears in a way that like didn't exist before because the gatekeepers on those portals were so money driven or industry driven or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's a whole democratization of what it means to create art and get art out there and allow art to rise. Like anybody who's anybody can do it. Consistency, I think, is what sets people apart, though.
Yeah, consistency and luck. It doesn't feel like luck. Like I feel like you're right. It has democratized everything. Because I think now, I was saying this to my friend, that if you make a song that you write 100 songs and you write one that's great, and if you think about what you're going to post, like how you're going to post it to people, like you actually really try, you have more of a chance. Like anyone can do it. But I feel like at the moment everyone's doing it. Like there's so many people.
It's cluttery. And
it's so cluttery.
How does the good rise to the top?
When there's literally every song is great. I'm like, everyone, there's new. Who's this person? This is great. This is great. This is great. This is really good. Like, how do you? In a weird way, the platform's given people this chance to like blow up, but it's like there's so many people doing it. It's almost harder. I don't know. It's kind of a weird one. That's why the luck thing sort of.
It's weird. It's easier and harder at the same time.
Yeah.
Like you can get out there and get on the road, but there's super congestion there.
So much congestion. But you can still do it.
Well, you've had success. Do you think yours is luck, or why do you think it's been you?
Well, I think I don't have a life. Like all I do is music, right? But I know a lot of people like that. Like all I do is write songs. I don't really go out much. I just think about this. I think I did have luck. I think Be Alright just blew up, and I had a lot of support at that time, which was actually it was 3 years ago basically blew up, but like TikTok wasn't crazy big then. And it sort of had all the support that it needed. But then after that blew up, COVID happened, and then 2 years of I had 2 years off because of COVID. I couldn't tour, and then every song I put out would sort of like do worse and worse, and I was like, oh, like I sort of thought everything was sort of ending. And then with TikTok, actually, with this new song, How Do I Say Goodbye, it blew up on TikTok. So in a weird way, that feels like another lucky thing, but but
is it luck, or did the story just resonate when people
were
giving it to them?
As soon as I played the song to people, they like cried and all like were really emotional, and they loved it. And the only time I ever had that reaction actually was with Be Alright, but it wasn't crying. Like the thing that I noticed when my big song Be Alright was like when I played it, people would share their stories with me. So they'd straight away say to me, like I saw a message on my ex-boyfriend or girlfriend's phone, and they just tell you that, and they don't know you. And I was like, I've never had that sense where people would come up and tell you like something when they don't really know you. And then I'm noticing that with How Do I Say Goodbye now, people come up and they tell you about people they've lost, their friends or family they've lost, and they don't really know you. That they just tell you, which is very special.
How have you rationalized the reason behind that?
Well, I've rationalized it by I mean, if you want to talk about the actual rationalization, I'd probably say it's the only other time I've noticed something's really connecting. For me, when something is connecting, it's when people start telling you, without you knowing them, they'll just tell you their story as well.
Do you think they think they know you?
I think they think they know you. Yes. Yeah, for sure. But that's the key, I think, when that's what I'm excited. Right. When it's good or it's connecting, because I've had so much that doesn't, you go like, when it does now, I'm like, oh, well, that was the same as that. Oh, it makes sense now. But it's very special. Like when they do tell you this stuff, it's like incredible. Like, the stories and how it's affected them is kind of like, a big part of why. Are
there sonic or lyrical similarities between the two records that you can pick up on?
I mean, I have a very, I'd say they're similar-ish, but they're not like that similar. But they're emotional, and I kind of keep things simple, like production-wise. So maybe like, okay, actually, maybe you're right. They're piano ballads, and that's something that I've realized. Whenever with this new album, I was like, oh, like, because I'm like, I look back at things and I'll go like, why did that work? And I realized that my first album, because I had 2 years off, I was like, the songs that connected were like the piano ones. Like people just like the piano. So it makes you sort of think a bit as well, because you go like, the guitar ones just don't do it nearly as well. Like people just don't connect with them, but they like piano.
What is
why?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's like maybe it's just like well, for whatever reason. Okay, you know what I think it is. I think when you write a happy song or a pop song, it's like connects to the ears. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think if you write a song on piano, it can connect to the, well, if I do it like that, it connects to the heart and the ears. So you have like, so it's like, if you write a happy song that's like on guitar or upbeat, it has to be like 100%, 10 out of 10 to even have a chance, because you're, releasing music when like the best producers in the world are like, and the best artists are doing that style of songs. Like, but whereas if you write a piano ballad, and that's why you see so many of these on TikTok, I think you can connect to the heart as well as the ears. So it's kind of, it's easier is a weird word, but it can connect like quicker.
Yeah, it's more direct.
It's more direct, yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And there's no, like, it's not as distracting. Like, you get to the point and you really have the ability to, like, match the piano. I mean, all great songs in this world sound good acoustically.
Yes, I totally agree.
But, depending on what instrument accompanies that acoustic, that could really make a huge fucking difference.
It does. Yeah, piano songs, man, they just, if you get it right, they definitely connect.
Why was it important for you to write 80 songs before you released one?
Oh, well, it's kind of all I do. I just think you write so many songs, so many of them are like good and like bad and like average, but I reckon it's like a bit of a numbers game. Like if you write 10, there's got to be one that's like pretty good. And then if you write like 100, you're going to have one magic song in there. Like if your life, like with you guys, with your show, you guys think about I assume you guys think about what you're doing. Like you have
whatever you think we're doing is exactly what we're doing. Let's keep that up.
Yeah. Well, if if anything in life, when you apply yourself, like, and I see you, I bet you guys apply yourself, even though you won't say, but like if you really, you guys are like, I don't, but like, I think if anything, if you want to be like a plumber, or if you want to be a programmer, if all you think about and you're obsessed with it, and you like spend 100 days learning something, you're gonna get better at something. So I think it's like music as well. If you're obsessed with it, like if you're obsessed and it's really what you love to do, eventually if you just write 100 songs, one of them's going to be, and you're thinking about it a lot, one of them's got to be great.
But how do you know Waves was the great one?
Well, I knew that was a good song because great was when I did the song, and then I was on the train home. I was in this town called Hitchin, which is like north of London, and I listened to it, and I just knew it was special because it had this feeling about it. But the real test is when I sent it to my brother, and he was like, he hears everything, and he was like, whoa, this is crazy good. And then I showed more people around me, and then they'd ask, the thing is that they'll ask for you to send it to them if it's really good. They'll say, can you email me that? Or like, you show it to them on the phone, they'll say, can you email it to me? And every time I'd show it, people would be like, oh, can you send that to me? And I was the same with Be Alright as well. When I show it, they'd like want to hear it, like they want me to send it. Whereas if you show someone, they go, oh, it's cool. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? I think that's just a little extra thing I noticed.
It's human. It's human interaction. Like it's weird that you pick up on those things, but it makes sense, right?
Yeah. You notice it over time because I do so much, and you notice when no one asks. That's always a not a good feeling.
So I hope this isn't too personal, but when you find out that your dad is being diagnosed with cancer, how soon after that do you choose to go to the studio and write a song?
Well, I didn't write about it for ages, like, because when Be Alright was blowing up, probably near the end of it, like we knew what was happening. So I was in America and I was doing all these interviews and doing all these big shows, and I was getting updates from mum and dad, and I was like, when am I coming home? Because, it was bad, but also my dad, we didn't do this together, but we sort of did. Like, he's a close person to me. Dude. And so he's the one who's like, he's looking at all my stream numbers every day. He's kind of going like, you got to add it to this radio station. You know what I mean? Like he's in it with me. And he's kind of like saying, I'm like, should I come home? And he's like, this is your once in a lifetime opportunity. So it was kind of like, keep going. And then it got really bad because he started to look like he was really sick. Like, and then I was always waiting for that call to go home. And then, I think it was like maybe like 2 years into it or a year and a half into it where I decided to write the song about it. It was, so.
What prompts that? Is it this having to come to terms with this idea of like what it could mean to say goodbye? Yeah, I think I just write about the things that are happening in my life. Like it's just, what I do is like, if there's relationships, things, I write about those, or if it's like, my dad, I mean, this is the most important things that I'm thinking about or happening to me, I always just write about them. And it was just such a huge part of my life. But I didn't, I was just like so anxious to write about it because it's very important. And
and it's very rare you go into the studio and you actually want to write about something and it turns out good. Like most of the time you write something, it's just like it doesn't hit or whatever.
But do you write the songs to seek answers to the questions you're asking, or do you write to come to terms with what could be?
I think it's just writing to come to terms, and just because I have to write about it. So it's like, and with this song in particular, it's literally the lyrics, like the chorus is, how do I say goodbye to someone who's been with me for my whole damn life? You gave me my name and the color of your eyes. I see your face when you look at mine, which is literally like if you wrote down on paper how you feel about your dad or your mom or your friend, or mom and dad pretty much, or your grandparents, that's what you just say. Like but it's rare when you write the words out and like, I mean, we didn't do it like that, but it was like when you can just write it out and it says the thing melodically as well and it all fits. But I just wrote it because I just had to do it. You know what I mean? And luckily it just hit a thing. Like it just was good because it could have gone the other way as well.
But what did it do for you?
Well, when I wrote it, I heard the chorus back. So me and my friend John were in Nashville writing it, and
John Hume.
Yeah. And we were in the studio and we just wrote the chorus, and we hadn't written a song together in like 4 years. It's been ages, and we recorded it. There's a bit on. My brother filmed it actually, and I sang it 3 times, and then we listened back on the speakers, and it was like, oh my God. Like when you hear it back like that, it was just my hairs in the back of my neck were going up. And with me, I'm so analytical in the studio. Like I always think I suck, and I'm or like something's wrong. I'm like, it's too slow, it's the wrong key, are the lyrics good? And it's like kind of a stressful period. It's not really that enjoyable. Like it isn't, but I don't usually get that like emotion in the studio when you're being so analytical. So we heard that back and I was like, oh my God. And I knew if I'd get the tingles that I knew other people would as well. Because it's like when you do, it's when you listen to your own voice, it's like hard to feel as like other people sort of would.
Totally.
But I felt it personally. So I've never really had that before.
Is there a time in your studio session for analytical and emotional, or do they just kind of mix together?
I think they mix together. Like I never cried like writing songs. I don't think I've ever done it, but I reckon I was like, it was like probably 15 times like writing verses. Like I was super I was so emotional, and I was like, I'm in the room by myself just like crying, and I'm like, my brother's there, and it was just like, it was just a different experience. And but then you also being analytical because you're going, I want this to be great. Like it's about my dad. And then when we got the chorus, I was like listening to it back, and I'm like, okay, now the verse has to be really good. And we wrote like 5 different verses, and we ended up coming back to the one that was just really simple, because we realized that the chorus was so powerful. We just needed something to tell the story in a simple way, and it didn't really need to be flashy. And that's why the production for me is really important, to be piano, very like classic, acoustic, like live drums, really simple.
Like too much could fuck that up real easy.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
It wouldn't hit the same.
Exactly. So we tried to keep it. So yeah, that was my thinking process. If we just keep it really raw, like almost live guitar, piano, drums, you can't really go wrong with that sort of. It was almost like Coldplay, like production. You know what I mean? Like old Coldplay. So
what was it like showing your dad the song for the first time? Because I'm sure that's not easy.
Yeah. So I didn't tell him about it.
The video of him watching you perform destroyed me.
Oh yeah, it was.
God.
It was.
Gutted.
Well, I didn't tell him, and I didn't tell him I'd written the song until it was sort of like not mixed, but it was like the production was done. And then I was in Los Angeles, and I got my brother to film, really just for me. But because I wasn't there, I was on the speakerphone, and he was listening to the song, and he cried, and then he just said he loves it. It's a great song. He actually can't listen to the song because it's like too emotional, but. A lot of people don't know this, by the way. I should say my dad's in remission.
Yeah.
He's in remission. Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's in remission a lot. And that's the thing is I was able to play him the song, which I didn't know if I'd, at the time when I was writing it, it was like, you don't really know what was going to happen, because they gave him a 25% chance of living past a year at this point. So where he was, not even living 2 years, but he got a stem cell transplant that saved his life. But so I was able to play him the song.
That's crazy.
And he loved it. And he's actually, to be honest, loving the attention right now. Like he's like honestly on YouTube every day looking at the comments, and like there's an article in Australia in the paper, and he like posts on his Instagram. He's loving it right now.
But I understand why he can't listen to the song. Like for a parent to come to terms with having to like leave their kid and to hear it so drawn out like that, and it's so, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's very It's very intense for him, and I think there's a
Rightfully so.
And he went through it, because you're going through. We're all there, but you go through it yourself. It seems like he had to deal with that, and it's a different thing for him than everyone else. So I think it sort of brings him back to that. But yeah, he's just like he's loving it right now. But it's definitely overwhelming for him to listen to.
What's it like for the rest of your family to hear this? Like your mom and your brother? Yeah,
Mum got really emotional. They all just loved the song. Like everyone was just like, we're all. Mum loves it.
Yeah.
She's super pumped about it. Yeah.
What is The Hardest Love?
The Hardest Love is the name of my album that's coming out in like a couple of days. Yeah, no.
Yeah, but what is the actual hardest thing to love?
So, okay, I called it The Hardest Love because I wrote the song called The Hardest Love on the album as well. And I like the name because the album is also about this relationship I thought I was going to end up with this girl that I thought she was like the one, you know what I mean? Like she was the girl for me, like full on. And it just didn't work out. And I think it was the hardest love because it was the last sort of bad relationship where there's all these red flags personally that I would sort of ignore.
Like what?
Like, just like, like whenever I'd get too close or like, you'd start to get too close, someone would pull back. And that perpetual sort of like, we're getting closer. Oh, it's finally going to happen. And then they pull back again because there was something that was happening. Or like I have a really important life thing or an exam or something. And then you sort of wouldn't, like she just keep pulling back. And so, and I think my childhood, I'm a bit like, sort of was chasing that. I sort of would chase that. Whereas what would come to me, I'd kind of be like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like to work for what I get. Okay?
Exactly.
If you're fucking throwing yourself at me, all those celebrities who sign in my fucking DMs, I don't fucking want it. Honestly. Let me work. Like, let me put some fucking elbow grease in this motherfucker.
Exactly. Or it just didn't feel like it was worth it or something. And it's the worst way to think. It's like the worst.
Totally.
But that's why
I've literally turned down amazing people.
Yeah, and yeah, right?
Yeah, because it's easy.
Yes.
I like things I can't fucking have.
Because there's a value to it or something.
Horrendous.
We're so toxic. We're so toxic. Yeah. But
sometimes I think maybe there's the opportunity where the two can cross over. And, well, I want to know, what about this girl made you go, oh, I'm in love with her, when you would get close, one of you would dip? Probably her.
Well, I think I went through a period of my life where it was like, this sounds so cliche, but it was true. I had nothing. 5 years ago moved in with my nan. Like, which I know is very Jeffrey Dahmer now with the show. I'm like, Jesus.
Alarming, yes.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
But before that, it was actually, it seemed like a sweet story before that film came out. But I was like, it was like probably 6 years ago. I had like no money and I just moved in there for a year to save money. And I had nothing. And I felt like, I think I was 20. I started late. I was 28 when I got a record deal.
Yeah.
So, or something, 27, 28, I can't remember. But I thought I'd missed my life's opportunities and I was like, I'm going to give this a crack one last time. And so basically when Be Alright blew up and I was like, oh my God, what is happening? My life's changing. Now I have stuff and I can I can have, things. I have money. I have, you know what I mean?
You can feed yourself.
I can feed myself.
This
exactly.
Is crazy.
Exactly. And I'm from Australia. Like it's impossible to have a hit song in America and Germany. Like what that, no, it never happens. And so I thought those things would make me happy. And I know it's the tried and true thing everyone talks about, but I always think in life with me, I'm so dumb and stubborn that I have to experience it myself. Like, it's like someone will say, this doesn't make you happy. I'm like, yeah, but maybe it will for me. And then I'll go and do it. And then I'll realize, and I realized that all those things that I was like chasing, it's like, okay, I have them all and I'm really unhappy. And I think I developed all these skills and things that weren't really that important. And she kind of helped me through this period. We were like sort of friends during like the Be Alright blowing up. Yeah. And then the sort of time after that during COVID where things sort of dropped off. And I was like, it was a hard time just coming to terms with everything in life. When you think everything you're working towards is going to get you somewhere and you realize that it's not really it. And I know people would look at that and be like, oh, wait, having like in this music industry, having a hit song is like Be Alright. It's not like, for some people they'd be like, that's the beginning for me. But for me, it was more than I'd ever expected. And so we just got really, really close. And then I guess I started to build up an idea of her that wasn't really who she was in the end. She wasn't really that person. And I think when I finished touring, we hung out, went down to Oceanside in California and we had a couple of days there. She just wasn't and probably me too, I wasn't the we just were different people at that time. And I think I built up sort of a different idea of who she was. I think that answers the question.
Because you ignored the signs.
I ignored the signs, the
or you
pullback.
just saw the good in you just saw what you wanted to see. So
exactly.
you built the person that you ideally wanted to have.
Exactly.
Wow, I'm pretty nail on the head, man.
That's exactly.
I'm probably doing the same.
Exactly. I think it's exactly the thing. And they'll show you, people show you who they are. And you sort of, it's easy to ignore that when you just you go, oh, she's cool, you know. But also, to be fair, I also, wasn't in, I'm not a perfect person. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I had to figure things out as well. It was probably just bound to never work out. So it's weird. Songwriting, in all these songs, it's always like good guy, bad guy, and it's like there's a lot of like it's two people. So.
But the hardest love is one that like you want so badly, but you cannot have, and you think is perfect and can change your life for the better, and maybe even change theirs.
Yeah,
but it's just unobtainable.
It's unobtainable, and I was doing the whole thing like I was looking at houses in LA. I was like sending them like I'm going to get this place for. I was all in, and I think she was just she had different goals, and she wanted to make her own way in life, and it's like at the end of the day, it's like respect. Yeah, respect.
Jesus Christ, this is too much for me to handle.
This is getting deep.
I'm gonna have to call my therapist.
Are a lot of the songs on this album about that situation, or is that just like how did you come to that? Like, why that song to like name the album after? Or is a lot of the songs about her?
Yeah, that song actually is not. The Hardest Love was actually not about her, but it was for both my albums, I've chosen a song that's on the album to call so I just wanted to do that again, and it summed up the feelings of it. I thought The Hardest Love also was sort of represented with my dad, coming to terms with that, and so it was kind of a combination of things, I guess.
Now, what's Into the Breeze? I know we didn't get to hear that song, but I just like the title.
So yeah, Into the Breeze is a song that I wrote, and I'm really proud of this one because the lyrics sum up how I feel about life, and this one's more introspective. I say, why do these birds fly into the breeze? Why do the open arms of someone who loves me make me want to leave? And that's sort of what we're saying, what we were saying before about the idea of why in life when things come to me, this is my own thoughts, and I go, why do I push that away? And that's kind of, that line summed up that. It's just an introspective song.
It is so accurate. But I was just making sure that the person I was talking about is not in the other room listening. Thank you, Jesus. Holy shit.
I saw you panicking over there. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
I did say, I was like, what's happening to my left?
Stress.
Now, speaking of writing things down, earlier you did post on social media that if you're feeling stressed out, you said write down your thoughts, but then don't go back and read them.
Yeah.
Why? Why? Like, isn't it important to go back and read your thoughts sometimes?
Yeah, I've been doing this for 7 years. I'm like the most, like, I'm still terrible at it, but every morning I write down, I go to a cafe on my own and I'll just get a coffee by myself and I write down my thoughts. Like, sometimes you only have 2 minutes, you're at an airport, sometimes you have half an hour, whatever. And I just found that writing down my thoughts, if I had to do it perfectly, you sort of overthink it. But I talk to my fans about this all the time. If you're struggling in life, just go to get a coffee, get up in the morning, go to a cafe on your own, get a coffee and sit there and just write something imperfect and write about where you want to be and what you're worried about. And I just found for me when I did that and I wrote about what I was going through, things I was doing wrong, where I wanted to be, things I wanted to achieve. If I just kept writing about that, my life started to have I sort of felt like I was floating, and then I sort of through life and missing opportunities. And then all of a sudden when I started doing it, I felt like I was I'm not really big into manifesting or anything, but I felt like it gave me context to know where I was going. And my life started coming together a lot more. And so I've just kept doing it. And I find that if you keep a track of it, you almost create like a narrative in your life and a plan. And it's just something that I do and I tell my fans to do because it's really helped me.
I think I may start doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it take away the stresses that you're feeling? Like, do you feel relieved afterwards? Do you feel like a weight off your shoulders?
Yeah. It just like, I always think I'm always so stressed about stuff. I feel like if I do it, it's like I imagine myself as a bucket and I'm like, I feel like I wake up right now and I'm like 90% because there's so much happening. Like the song's hot again and oh my God, things are happening. I don't want it to stop. And then I go, if I write in the morning, I'm going to take 30% more water out and then I can deal with little things coming in. But it's never going to solve all my problems, but it just helps me. It's something that I do.
Is it true that you're like 50-50 on this album, like co-writing and just songs written on your own?
Yeah. A lot of songs I write on my own too. Same with the last album.
So what songs are only kept to you and what songs do you go to others with? Yeah,
well, a lot of the time I'll bring in, say I'll have a song that's like, I have a chorus or something. And sometimes I'm stuck and I'm halfway through a song and I'll bring that in. And then there's some songs I'll just write on my own. Like there's a song called All For You, Into the Breeze, To Have You Today on this album as well. I wrote. Sometimes, yeah, it just depends. There's also a lot of songs that I didn't put on this album, not because they're not good, but because I just like 10-track albums, and I'm like, it just depends, really. Like sometimes you get. That's a really weird thing to say.
Why 10 songs?
Okay. Well, I think now. Okay, I put out my first album, and as soon as it came out, it was old. Like, you know what I mean with albums? Like they're old as soon as you put them out. Like in the sense of if you have all these great songs on an album and you put a 12, 13-track album out, you can have like 3 songs that are like big singles, you think. But as soon as the album comes out, like good luck trying to get that started again. Like you can, but it's really hard. So I was like, well, it doesn't make sense to like, so I'm like 10 is like you put your big single out and then you put the album out and then you have really good songs on there.
Focus tracks, yeah.
Yeah. And so I just kind of, it just felt really lean and really good. And then I was like, the next one, I'll be like, I'm thinking about the next one now. You know what I mean? And so it didn't really make sense to do more than that for me.
How many songs did you start with before you got to the 10?
I reckon I recorded properly recorded, probably about 20.
Oh, cool.
And there were great songs on there. Like I got argued with my manager, my label and stuff. They were like, you're not going to put this song out? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, but maybe on the next one.
Yeah, but how do you know what's right for this and what's not? What are you listening for?
You know what I do is I have this internal thing where I know something sounds like me. And I get it from everyone I've been having my whole life. They'll be like, this is a great song. You're crazy not to put this out. But I'll be like, it doesn't sound like me. Like the production or something. And I have always had this thing in me. I don't know, it's because I got signed later, but I didn't want to fail on someone else's terms. And I say no a lot to things. I've always done that. And I think if I was 18, I would probably say yes a lot more because you sort of think that everyone knows what they're doing and they don't. Like people have jobs and I swear they just like, I feel like I had a few examples. Think about where you listen to other people and it hasn't been catastrophic, but those people would be gone when it fails. They're gone.
Oh yeah, but it's just you,
and it's just you in the end.
Littered in failure.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, you're the only person who success has many fathers. Failure is an orphan.
Exactly.
And you are the child.
Yes.
So,
but you feel like if someone says something so confidently, that's the direction going. Well, oh my God, they must be right, even if it's against your instinct. And I just say no a lot, and it's tense. But at the end of the day, I have said yes at times when I haven't wanted to. And interesting enough, those times have been the times where I think the songs haven't worked the most a little, you know.
But your track record's also like working in your favor.
Yeah, well, but it works better when I follow my instinct.
That's it.
But I'm also not one of those people who's like, I'm right all the time. I listen to everyone around me. Like I get a lot of opinions and I think I'm wrong a lot. And then I come to like a consensus, but I try to follow my instinct the most. But I think that's only because I started later. And I give that advice to because there's younger singer-songwriters up and coming now. And sometimes they'll ask me stuff and I'll just be like, say no a lot. Like don't release that song that someone wants you to do that it doesn't feel right. Because that's all of you. And those people they have 100 other people they're working for. It's not the same thing to them. So people want to help you. People aren't all bad. But it's just you got to follow your own instinct a lot, I think. So, and I've always said no. So,
do you think some of the songs you said no to because you had to kind of do what's right for you? Do you think they could have been big hits? Are they good songs? And do you think you have a song out there that could be like a massive radio hit?
Yeah, there was. I mean, sometimes it's like the order of songs. Like I put out a song called "Looks Like Me," which is actually on the album, and I thought, I'm like, this song is the song you put out after you have the song that connects to the heart, And that's what I was saying. But I feel like that would be the perfect follow-up to How Do I Say Goodbye, actually. Because after COVID, I kept putting out songs and nothing was really connecting. And I sort of thought things were sort of dying off. But I knew that the songs that had connected for me when I looked back were the songs like, I have this song called Half a Man and Be Right and Waves. They're all songs that were from the heart. And I have this song called Looks Like Me that's more of a poppy, catchy song. So I looked at that and went, this song is a great song that could make it on radio after you have the song that's going to connect to the heart. So sometimes it's like, I feel like it's the placement and the timing of things, but also you can't plan it. You can think, oh, this song's going to connect to the heart, but you can put a song out in the week before someone's written a song with the exact same meaning and you just lose it. So it's a confusing thing and so many things need to fall into place. You never really know, but I do follow that like instinct now, and I'm starting to trust it even more.
Would you ever sell the songs that you just sit on that didn't make the album to somebody else?
Yeah, no, I think I don't even really like writing songs for other. I've done it sometimes. I write songs with other people for other people, but I don't really like doing it because I always think, but what if I do something that's really good and I don't want to give it away? I have this song called Half a Man from my first album that is one of my songs that a lot of my fans love, and I actually wrote this. I wrote the chorus on my own, and then I wrote it for someone else in the room with John Hume. Me and John Hume and this girl Haley Warner brought the chorus in. We wrote it for someone else. And then when we finished the song, I was like, this is so me, we can't give it away. And I actually didn't, which was at the time I was getting so much pressure. You were like, no, you said you give it away. And I just held on to it. And that song's been one of the, yeah, I know.
So who wanted it?
It was an Australian artist.
Delta Goodrem.
No.
Guy Sebastian.
No, it wasn't them.
5 Seconds of Summer.
No, those guys write their own stuff. They're great.
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
Great. Yeah, but
fuck with them.
Yeah, they're great.
Who was it? Who could it be?
I wouldn't say it. Just sounds all. It's just mean.
Troye Sivan.
No. He's a great writer.
Yeah.
Is Joel Corey Australian?
Joel Corey.
What's his?
I don't know. He's a DJ.
Brothers. You know that song Trot? It's a good one.
I don't know. Oh yeah, I think I have heard Trot actually.
You have a whole different there's a whole different way of life down there.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
Keith Urban.
No, it wasn't Keith. It wasn't
Start
Keith.
listening
He's like
every
a
episode.
They pitched it to him and he didn't want it.
Really?
But I didn't want them to pitch it to anyone. I was like, no. And but they, when you have a song that's good, people like, and you open that door, it's really hard to close that door.
Totally.
Because people start pitching things out. But yeah, I get it. Everyone wants to. They all want to make money, and they all want to. It's big for people. But back then, I'm just an artist. And I'm like, but this is me. This is my. This is so me. I couldn't give it away.
It really is. The songs are an extension of you. So
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Yeah.
Hard. I mean, it's a part of you.
Yeah.
Hardest love. The hardest love.
The hardest love.
There's the at the top of that.
Yeah.
Please listen to it on Amazon Music. The album is out. We're going to put a description. We're going to put a link in the description below. Holy shit. This has been a lot. This has been an emotional roller coaster for me.
This has been great. I've been watching your show for a long time.
Oh, Jesus.
You're like one of the, you always pop up. You always pop up. No.
We try to flood the internet with ourselves, so you can't get away.
You're always there. No, it's really cool to come in. When I saw you, I do so many interviews. I have in the past, and I was really excited to do this because I was like, you ask really in-depth questions, and you just, I don't know how you guys do it.
Well, we're curious.
You're curious.
We're incredibly curious,
yeah.
and I listen a lot. If you couldn't tell,
yeah.
Until you tapped on something that is emotionally just been weighing on my shoulders, which is. Yeah, this total concept, and this has been my whole fucking life, and I do think it's a reason why I'm successful, is that I go after things that are not easy, but I know that once I grab them, it will be the best move for everyone involved.
That's so true about why it's successful.
Fucked.
It's fucked. That relentless sort of, are you guys like that thing, the same thing of next, you get to the thing you want and you go next straight away?
Yeah, or I really like to just, I'm at a place now where I want to expand what we do really well. And I want to make my life easier. So, and then in doing that, I can. What do you?
Keep going. Pretend I'm not here. Keep going.
I go make my life easier. He's ready to stab me in the jugular. Carlos Camera's ready to pounce on me over the fucking table. I don't know. I'm in a very weird place of I want to go on to what is next, and I do feel like I am a part of that. But at this point in my life, I'm trying to re-firm up foundation that we've worked really hard to build.
Yeah.
And then from there, we'll be able to do some really cool fucking things and be able to have that focus of boom, 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 boom. But the reality is you need to process. I think I used to be like that.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I've been doing this for 15 fucking years. So there's definitely a giant swath of time that I was incredibly naive, but blindly confident, and I didn't give a fuck. I'd email somebody 1,000 times until they answered me.
Yeah.
I did not give a shit.
Yeah.
And it was but again, going after things that I knew would be right for myself and for whoever, whatever that may be. Could be a relationship with another person, could be a guest coming on the show, could be whatever the fuck, could be somebody looking to hire us, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I was very, very much going after things that I knew were right, but I would never take what was coming. I'd always go after something.
Yeah, or you'd always have a grand vision of what you're doing. And how important are numbers now to you? Do you still look at the numbers and go like, you don't?
Well, sometimes. Well, you know how this is how I judge success. And Dan can, come at me or whatever the fuck.
I'm not gonna say a thing.
No, you can. I judge success today based on like when I leave my house every day and people come up to me and they talk about the show and the impact the show's had on their life and things they love about it, things they've gotten to learn. I mean, that's
really healthy.
That is my reward.
That's epic.
Yeah, I don't. If I looked at numbers all day, I'd get lost in it. And to be honest, like they're obviously doing well because when the way I constitute that success is like happiness in a quality show here. Do I leave the studio really happy and fulfilled with what we've created and the conversations that were had? And then when I go out into the world, like as people come up to me, and it happens every day, I'm almost afraid for when that goes away.
I mean, I think we've been doing well, but I think TikTok's really has helped us too.
100%.
Yeah, you guys you on my For You page.
Yeah.
I think the interview with Alec was on there.
Oh.
Came up.
Oh, Alec Benjamin?
Yeah, I think that one came up.
Fucking amazing.
He's fucking great.
Well, and the other thing on TikTok is like you don't know what is ours and what is like we've racked up like I just said I don't look at data, but we have racked up like 500 or 600 million user-generated content views on TikTok in the last like 2 months.
Yeah, how do you feel about
that? It's not ours, so it doesn't go to us. But at the end of the day, like it was so funny. Like I care about again, like profile. I'm a mainstream motherfucker. Like we were on passive mainstream radio, 80, 90 radio stations for 10 years. Like that is as passive and as mainstream as it gets. So as long as I can tap into the larger zeitgeist that is, yes, cosmopolitan, but a lot of Midwest, a lot of Northeast. Like, it's about being passive and mainstream to the point where, like, even if you don't watch us every day, you know who we are and what we do, and you've come in contact with something that we've done, whether it be on your For You page or your algorithm or your Amazon Music page or you could be watching the news one day and see an interview of ours. So like,
I think you guys done really well with that.
Thanks.
Like, I'm from Australia and I know, you know what I mean? But it's very rare in the radio world to do that. It's kind of that. That's why I said the Howard Stern thing. I mean, I feel like I'm interviewing you guys now, but I love it. I was just interested. I'm really interested.
I want to ask you a question about numbers. When thankfully your career is not coming to an end, but when you were saying like there was that time where you thought it may be, was that hard for you to accept seeing the numbers going down?
It was because I think I thought every time I put out a song, it's a hit song. Like I'd Waves, it was a hit, and then I put out Be Alright, and it was a hit. And I'm like, whoa, it's a global hit now. I'm like, oh, and then and then I put out the song after that, and it was like, I mean, they kind of did well, but then everything started dropping. 2 years, and I was like, I'm watching my monthly listeners on Spotify go down. I'm like, oh yeah, and then and I was like, oh wait, and then I'm like putting songs out. I'm like, oh, people don't care that much anymore. I'm like, oh, like they're not having that big reaction, and that's why when but that's also good because you come to terms with a lot of things and you appreciate things more. And I think now that I'm watching the numbers go add to today's top hits, I'm like, what the hell? You're watching it go viral on TikTok. And I'm like, I know it's not going to last forever now. I know that all the people that came into my life when Be Alright was blowing up and I was you were hot and then all those people were gone. They were gone. And I know now that people are starting to like, oh, people like call me again, like message, oh, I'm back. I'm like, but they're going to be gone soon.
Oh, and you will, but what will last forever is that song.
Exactly.
And to the point of like, even like what I strive for is like, they may not be a monthly active listener, but when that song comes on, it resonates with them and they know it. Be Alright, this latest one is going to be the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, like you are making way more than a teacher's salary a year on that fucking Be Alright song.
Oh yeah. It's
like,
crazy.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's like in grocery stors.
Yeah.
And it is so passive and mainstream that I'm sure even on like hot AC radio stations is still being played.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's such a connection point. So regardless of the fact that like they are super duper active every month, your song has hit these people in a way that will, the second they hear it, they'll go back to some memory in their head. It means something to them.
It does. It becomes part of their life. And that is the thing. I mean, this thing Be Alright still streams like I think it's like 4 million a week. It was out 4 years ago. Like every week, it seems to never go away. So it's outrageous. Actually, I still can't believe that it still reaches out that far.
It's timeless.
Well, thank you. It's good to have one. You just never know.
This last one could be that too.
That's the thing, and I don't know if it is yet, but I feel like it's faster than Be Alright. But I'm just going like, you need a lot of things to fall into place, but it feels like everything's gone crazy again.
Do you think things move faster today than they have before?
Oh my God, yeah. So much faster. I feel like just from watching, for the last couple of years. It feels like hit songs. I haven't had any, but I feel like this one feels like it might be. But I haven't had any. They sort of seem like a hit song used to be like you'd get 1 billion streams, like that was like a hit. I feel like hits now, it's kind of like you get 100 million, and then it's kind of like, unless it really stays, everyone sort of moves on to the next thing. So, but you get those songs still do that, but it seems much rarer to have those huge billion stream songs.
But the emotional ones stick around, dude.
Yeah,
they really weave themselves into the fabric of somebody's life, and it allows them to see and understand their situation in ways that they couldn't. And I to your point of like what the common thread between the hits is, dude, they're emotional, they're raw, they're real, they're piano.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something there in terms of just a direct emotional connection that is not cluttered by anything. And
exactly.
That's the music that lasts forever.
Yeah, and if it's genuine and to the heart, and you're not faking it, I think people can hear it, and then you just got to get lucky. You just got to go, because people have to hear it, and
Totally.
But as I said before, man, if you're out there and you wrote a big song, you're thinking about like really your TikTok, think about it, post a lot. And it's possible now. I think that the gatekeeper thing feels like it's opening
crazy,
up a lot. It's really exciting.
But now it's about the label gatekeepers to understand the data that's coming their way, so then they can amplify what is just being gifted to them.
Yeah. Oh, the amplification's really important.
Well, yeah, because you could have all the fucking TikTok streams and do 1 million streams a day on fucking Spotify all day. Yeah. And if nobody's going to take that data and make a case to expand that footprint
huge.
So you can get to where you were before in a way that is culturally woven for months and months and months at a time. Like I would be working this record right now to radio and hot AC and pop and all the fucking things, and I'd work it right through fall and winter, and I'd work it right into the new year, and maybe I'd stop working it by fucking March, April. But by then the saturation point is so high that like you've created a timeless record.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think
a slow build's better than a fast build for something like this, because like you want this is a beautiful song that again is relevant in so many situations. So you want it to be out there for as long as humanly possible on radio. You don't want it to be spun every fucking 42 minutes immediately.
No, totally. And I think that's what's happening now as it blew up on TikTok. Now you're starting to see we're seeing the amplification to radio, and even doing this interview. Like this isn't happening if I'm just on TikTok. You need teams but to get to this point, I think is really cool. That I feel like anyone can actually get to that point, and then the next step is really dependent on how your team's set up and all that stuff. So
in a lot of cases, people come into it and they don't have a team and they have to figure it out from ground up.
Exactly. But so many people are doing that now, right? They're just doing it all themselves, and it's like, what the hell? But you can do it.
You can be your own person and hire out different teams that work for you to get it out there.
God, that'd be. I mean, it's.
Music's crazy.
It's crazy right now,
and it's ever changing.
Yeah.
Macklemore, one of the first guys to ever do an independent release. I'm pretty sure Code did it. Did you work that thrift shop? Was that before you? He made history though with that. That was fucking huge, because he hired everybody. It's just Ben and Ryan. That's fucking nuts.
God, he must be just
rich as fuck.
Jesus, that would be stupid outrageous.
So. Your story though, in terms of when you get signed,
it's different.
Almost unheard of.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very rare to, I think 27, 28, and I think most people get signed at like 18, 19, and they're sort of onto their fourth album by the time they're getting. So I started late. I honestly was like this. I think there's two kinds of people. This is my analysis. There's people who, you watch American Idol. They go in, they think they're amazing. And then there's the people who you need a big team around you to tell you that
totally.
I was more like that. No, I didn't go on Idol anything. Just as the example, but I was kind of like, I'd write these songs and I was like, if this first one didn't work, I would probably be like, oh, well, maybe it's just not happening.
It's not it.
Yeah, but I had a good team around me. My best mate passed a demo on when he was on a boat at a party to my now manager so many years ago. And and she's still my manager. And so it happened like that for me. It was just really random and late. But
and special.
Really special, I think. But I think that it gives you some strengths because you can say no. You've lived a little bit.
Totally.
You know who you are a little bit more, and it's given me this life that's so exciting, man. Like I wrote my first song Waves about feeling like life felt very monotonous every year, and now all of a sudden I'm like, this is my life now. It's
no
bloody
2
crazy.
days the same.
It's crazy.
The Hardest Love. Listen to the album on Amazon Music. We're going to put a link in the description below so you can just click it real easy. Final thoughts, Daniel.
Yeah, non-deep question. What does the station wagon in the woods represent on the album cover?
Yeah, so the album cover was actually supposed to be the artwork for How Do I Say Goodbye, but we loved it so much that we made it the album cover. So the station wagon is this car that my dad had when we were young. You know the Mercedes ones where you have the boot or the trunk would face out to the cars behind you?
Yeah, those seats back there?
The seats back there would face the car. So when me and my brothers would sit in the back and like look at the drivers from behind, and we just thought, a photo of me in the same car that I had when I was a kid, it just really represented the song, and then it felt like the album cover because it was so cool. So that's what it was.
It's a really cool album cover.
The guy Darren Craig designed it, took the photo. He's a genius. It was really cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
The Hardest Love. See the album cover. Listen to the music. Amazon Music. I really appreciate you, Dean Lewis.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. What a great time.
Please come back. Studio's always open. We won't be in this location for long. So come to Culver City, please.
I'll see you there. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me. That was great.